Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead Daryl Dixon video. So in this one here, I want to break down the preview that they released today. I will actually leave a link down below if you do want to check out this preview. I thought it was like a behind the scenes thing, and in the sense that we would just be seeing like how it was made or just like things like that, but it's actually more of a preview, I would say, and it really does set up this season really well. And honestly, there is a lot of footage in here, like a lot of new footage. And we learned some new story details here that I do want to talk about, and it seems like a lot of this is going to be happening in episode 1. So obviously, before we go any further, make sure to be a subscriber if you do want to get all my Walking Dead content like this. If you haven't followed me on Twitch yet, definitely go do so. I will be streaming every single Sunday. We'll talk about the episode and everything, and it's really easy to do that now because every single episode is going to be released on the Sunday. So I'll watch the episode, or I don't know, maybe I'll watch it live with you guys sort of thing, and then just sort of do my reviews and all that afterwards. But I can do it every single Sunday now. So this works really well, because with the previous schedule with Dead City, it just did not work. I just could not handle it because I have stuff I have to do throughout the week. But Sundays, it's perfect. I'm totally free on Sundays. So yeah, definitely go follow my Twitch. My channel name is Appetite for the Dead. And yeah, let's get into this here. So there's a lot of new footage in here. Like there's actually quite a bit of new footage here. So to organize all of it would be a lot, but I do just kind of want to start from the beginning and go, I guess, towards the end of the preview here and talk about the footage that we're getting as the preview plays out. And it's just on the new footage as well. So there are some shots here of Daryl fighting Codron, and I actually think this is from the first episode. I do think when Daryl gets to the Abbey, he's going to be told about this whole thing and what's going on and all of that. I think that he'll be introduced to Isabel and Laurent. I think that we're going to learn who Sylvie is, and we're going to learn all the main characters. And then I do think there's going to be something that plays out in terms of, I guess, the villains here, who are called Pouvoir de Vivante or something like that. And they visit the Abbey, and it seems like there's a lot of death and destruction when they get there, because we do see a shot here of Codron and Daryl fighting. And the reason why I think this is from episode 1 is because I think in this episode, Daryl leaves. Like, I'm pretty sure this whole entire episode here is going to be basically Daryl gets to France, or whatever happens, he's walking around, he ends up, like, he just wakes up at the Abbey, something will happen, I'm sure. He's introduced to what's going on there, they get into some stuff there, and there's just like a bunch of stuff there for like 20 minutes or whatever, and then Codron shows up, there's all of this, there's probably going to be a lot of death here, and Daryl, I think, will be resistant to actually helping out Isabel, because we'll talk about that in a second, but there are some shots there in the trailer where we do get that hint. And then I think afterwards, at the end of this episode, he's basically going to agree, yeah, I guess I could help you guys out. And I think it's because, one, I mean, you're helping them out, but also two, I think it's going to be a way for Daryl to get home to America, right? So I think that's sort of what we're getting here. But yeah, I think this shot right here of Codron and Daryl fighting, and just all the shots here of them fighting, I think is all from episode 1. There's this really cool shot right here of Daryl with this axe, and I've seen a shot like this before of Daryl. I'm not entirely sure when. Maybe it was in the final season, but I know I've broken down a trailer with Daryl, and there was something very similar to this. So yeah, kind of cool that he has like certain moves that he does, just like certain techniques that he's just always sort of used. We then have this walker right here, which, I mean, I don't think this is an advanced walker at all. I think this is just a very, I guess, old looking walker, but still very cool walker. This shot here of Daryl, and the reason why I'm talking about this is because this is actually some of the promo footage that we got. Obviously, we saw Daryl firing a weapon, and I wanted to talk about this here because when he fires it, there's actually an explosion and it knocks him down on the ground. And I remember there being walkers behind him, so I'm guessing those walkers fall down afterwards as well, because obviously Daryl's fine afterwards, right? But yeah, anyways, we then get this shot here of Isabel, and this stuff here is very interesting because this is like flashback stuff. Now, I don't think we're gonna get this stuff in episode 1. I think a lot of this is going to be like episode 2 or 3, maybe episode 3, because I know that episode is titled Paris Will Always Be Paris or something. So maybe that's what this episode is referring to. But yeah, anyways, we do see some shots of Isabel, and this is literally as the apocalypse is happening here. Like, she is just sort of doing whatever, and I think this is after she gets off the subway. She probably like walks up to the surface, and then she starts seeing walkers everywhere, and people are getting attacked, and people are screaming, and there's a lot of people running, and she just looks absolutely terrified. Like, what is happening here? So very cool to actually get some flashback stuff to like when the apocalypse started, because these scenes are always so fun. Like that's honestly, in terms of just Walking Dead stuff, it's always my favorite thing. Like, to go back to when everything first started and to see just everyone's reactions to it. Like, if you really think about it, we never really saw Daryl's reaction to it. So imagine if we actually got a flashback to that. I think that would be so cool. A flashback to like literally the very first moments of Daryl just realizing that there is a zombie apocalypse. Like we saw Rick's reaction, and there's certain people's reactions where I don't think it matters too much, like Lori and Shane, because those characters are gone. But there's some characters where I'm like, you could definitely get into some of that, with Carol. Carol would be hard because I don't know how you would cast a younger Sophia. And then there's Ed, you could bring Ed back, I guess. And there's Maggie as well. There's Negan, although I guess with Negan, we already sort of got a lot of that. So there is a lot of really cool stuff. Michonne as well, like you can also do that. I think that would be really, really cool. Although Michonne did get a lot of flashback stuff, but still, there's really cool things. And I guess more specifically, I think with Daryl, you could do something with Daryl. I think that'd be so cool. But yeah, then we got this shot here of Isabel, and we have the Eiffel Tower here, and just really incredible. Honestly, really incredible shot here. And it's really cool to see Norman Reedus and Greg Nicotero talking about a lot of this stuff because, like, it's just been a while, and watching a preview like this, it really makes it feel like The Walking Dead. Like, it just feels like The Walking Dead is back right now, and I'm so excited for Sunday. We got some shots here of Daryl just sort of walking around, and obviously this is likely after some of the Burning Walker stuff happens, so I'm assuming after that happens, he just continues walking and going on his journey because we saw the opening minutes, and a lot of these shots weren't a part of that, so I'm assuming after that happens, he just keeps walking, and then yeah, a lot of this happens here. And then he runs into some people here, and I think this is where he's actually going to get into a fight with some of these people. I mean, the scene is kind of funny in general because he doesn't understand what they're saying, and I think they make fun of him or whatever in the scene, but I actually do wonder if this results in him getting like knocked out or something like that happens. And then he wakes up here at the Abbey, and I mean, really cool shot. Like we have a shot here of Daryl, he's waking up and he just sort of looks out the window, and then when he looks out the window, he sees nuns out there, and he's just kind of wondering like, what is this? And he actually says here in the teaser, he says like, is this a convent or something like that? And then I think at this point he's introduced to Isabel, who sort of, teaches him about everything and just talks about what they represent and basically everything. And I think that's where he learns about Laurent and sort of goes into the mission overall and sort of, I guess, what they expect of Daryl, right? And we do see a map here, and Norman Reedus at one point actually talks about the fact that I think he has to follow a map to get home or something like that. So I think that's how he sort of gets involved in some of that, is I think he needs to get to a certain place in order to get home. So I think that's why he's actually going to, I guess, go to Paris. He's going to actually help them out because I guess that's just sort of the way he can get home. But yeah, then we have a cool shot here of Isabel holding the sword. And again, this is why I think this all happens in episode 1, because I don't think they're going to be at the Abbey really past that episode. Like we could see it again in the future. I just think it's going to be a main like set piece for episode 1 because Isabel seems very worried. And I just think it makes a lot of sense that, they're all getting ready to fight because Codron has showed up and they know what's going to happen here. And we have this one shot right here of Laurent, and I think that's Isabel or Sylvie. It's hard to say, but yeah, obviously they're worried. There's a danger here. Codron's obviously showed up. And then we have a new character here named Sylvie, who I originally actually said in one of the previous teasers because it looked like she was kind of scared to like kill that walker because the way she was holding the gun. And I watched this scene here and I'm like, no, never mind, because she actually almost just like by herself kind of takes out these guards here. So these nuns seem to be a little bit more skilled. And that's something that Isabel does say, is that they aren't just like, like they're actually like they'll fight back and whatnot. So very, very interesting. We have some shots here of Isabel outside, and at this point here, I think they've abandoned that wagon and they're just kind of walking wherever. I'm not sure what happened to the horses. Maybe they got attacked by walkers or whatever, but they're walking on foot at this point here, and it looks like they're attacked at some point because an arrow goes by Daryl, and then he starts to like, obviously they're all worried about it, and they run to the bushes here. Daryl chases whoever's over there, and then we get this one shot of whoever this person is here. There are some shots of Daryl getting captured, so I think this is related. I think this is probably episode 2, if I'm being honest. Yeah, we have some shots, obviously, of the nuns just looking really, really scared and whatnot, and I think, again, this is probably at some point later on in episode 1. This was after Codron attacked. They probably scared off Codron and everyone else. And then we have some shots here of Daryl. And in this scene, he's just kind of like refusing to help. And that's why I think, this happens after the attack and whatnot. And this is towards the end of episode 1 where he's like, I'm not helping. I'm not getting involved in any of this here. But I think that's where, some of the connection and whatnot to getting home, I think is going to play a role, because I think they're going to offer like we can help you get home if you help us kind of thing. And I think this map here to Paris, I think, is something that he's literally going to follow, because Norman Reedus actually mentions like a priest draws this map or something like that in order for him to get home. So I think that sort of hints at, you know, what they're doing here with the story. And there's some other really cool shots here of Daryl just sort of outside at night. I know during this scene here, Codron's actually chasing him. Some other stuff of them just outside. We see Daryl, Laurent, Sylvie, and Isabel. A very cool shot right here that I'm going to bring up. So Laurent at this point, I believe this is episode 4. And I'm just guessing. I'm really just guessing, because I think at this point here, they're outside of the Eiffel Tower, and I think episode 4 is titled The Lady of Iron, or at least, well, it's titled something in French, but it translates to The Lady of Iron, which I think is a reference to the Eiffel Tower. So I think that this is Laurent looking at, and then it cuts to the next shot here, and it's a walker. And when you see this walker, the walker looks very, very different. And obviously, we have some confirmation now that the aggressive running walkers are actually going to be a thing. And when you're looking at this walker here, it just seems different. It just seems very different. It seems a lot more terrifying, much more scary and evil or whatever. So I think that's probably what they're dealing with here. And I think that's what we're seeing right here is one of those aggressive walkers. And there's also this shot here where this is for sure one of those walkers, because the way this walker is trying to get through this like barred door here is like insane. Like, it's just aggressively trying to get through the door. And the thing is, a lot of shots like this in this preview, they cut really fast. Like, they don't want to give us anything in terms of these aggressive walkers. They're really, really like keeping it just like super quiet. Like, it's going to be this big reveal when we actually watch it. And luckily I can actually just sort of pause it and see everything here. But yeah, I'm so excited for this right here. And then we get this shot here of Isabel, which I believe is a flashback, because I think in this scene here, she's actually holding Laurent as a baby. So I know some of the reviewers talked about her being, I think, Laurent's biological aunt. So we'll see if that ends up being the case. Maybe it's a reveal that's going to come in this season. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, Isabel, like, it's possible she's keeping it a secret because she doesn't want him to know. I don't know. I don't know the whole thing. But then we have a shot here of Daryl, and this looks like it's probably from episode 1 just because of the outfit he's wearing. And Isabel, I'm assuming that's Isabel behind him, you know, is still obviously wearing that same outfit there. Then we have some cool shots of some walkers. We have this one shot of this walker underwater, which, again, they always sort of have to do stuff like that, which is really cool. Just different, unique walkers every season. I really love it. Then we have a shot here of Codron, and it looks like he's, I mean, again, wherever this place is here, wherever the villains are staying, I mean, this is that. And Codron, to me, I'm so excited to meet him, and I'm really excited to know just more about the villain story overall and what their purpose is, and just sort of, you know, Codron's motivations, because it's different just like seeing stuff on the surface. When we see the characters, their expressions and their reactions to certain things, that's where we start to learn more about, you know, how we feel about these characters and how some of these characters are just, I guess, perceived overall. Because Codron so far seems like he's this really scary villain, but what if he sort of doesn't like what he's doing? You know what I mean? Then all of a sudden he's not that threatening kind of thing. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, then we have a shot here of Daryl and Laurent in some, I guess, I don't know, location here. We do have a shot here of Daryl, and he's attacking somebody here, and I believe this person here is named Quinn and is actually a main character in this season, but there's been like no talk about that at all. So I'm not entirely, you know, confident in saying that he's going to be a main character, but I know when they first announced the casting for Daryl Dixon, the 2 characters that they announced that would be lead characters were Isabel and someone named Quinn, and I believe that's who this is right here. So he is supposed to be an owner of a nightclub, and I guess that's kind of what this is here. Daryl, I mean, I don't know why he's punching him, but something is happening here, and I guess this is where we're meeting this character here. So I wonder if this is episode 2 or if this is episode 3. It's somewhere around there though. But yeah, and then we get this last shot here of Daryl, and this is just your typical iconic shot of Daryl, right? So yeah, really incredible preview. I will leave a link down below. Definitely go and check it out, because I was so hyped after watching it. It really does introduce you to the story of Daryl Dixon, and I think it's a perfect preview going into this Sunday's episode here. So yeah, post all your thoughts down below. Hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.